Russell Westbrook will actually be a starter for the Clippers. What are they thinking? You can't play Russ with another non-shooter? What does Ivica Zubac think right now? ESPN says the Clips made this decision after Coach Ty Lue spoke with Russ about his role. If you come to this team, all we need you to do is play make, rebound, and have toughness, whatever that means. People saying this can work are making the same mistake the Lakers made and the Rockets made. On paper, Russ is still really good. On the court, it's a disaster. On paper, just 6 guys with at least 15 points, 6 boards, and 7 assists this year. Jokic, Luka, LeBron, Harden, LaMelo, and Russ. Great! But his problem is decision-making, turnovers, bad defense, and when he doesn't have the ball, he does nothing. This is a desperate move from the Clippers, and it's all Kevin Durant's fault. Now that KD is on the Suns, the West is not wide open. They clearly have the most talent, and the Clippers are panicking. If this fails for them, they made a horrible trade. 8 first-round picks and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for Paul George. SGA is now a top 12 player. So when KD goes to Phoenix, they're like, we'll try everything. Get Russ on the phone. But there is actually one big reason I don't think this ruins the Clippers season. Signing Russ is not a Lakers level mistake. I want to explain why, but the man behind this in the organization was Paul George. When PG played with Russ in OKC, 2019 was his best year ever. Top 3 for MVP that season were Giannis, Harden, and Paul George. I've seen what he can do, and I think he's still got a lot of game in him, and so I'm biased when it comes to Russ. Exactly! He is biased. It's the same problem that LeBron had when he forced the Lakers front office to trade for Russ. Other NBA players just love Russell Westbrook and want to give him a chance. The Lakers should have told LeBron no, but they didn't. But the Clippers opened themselves up to this mistake by not signing a good point guard. How many years have we gone without a true playmaker for Kawhi and PG? If they waste their talent during this era, that will be the #1 reason why. Ever since the bubble, we have known about this, but the front office lets 4 off seasons and 4 trade deadlines pass without addressing it. Here's a look at who they have tried to bring in before us. Reggie Jackson, Rajon Rondo, Eric Bledsoe, John Wall. Maybe we actually shouldn't have been surprised that they signed Russell Westbrook. This is what they do. They're like, oh, point guard is a problem? We will bring in a past his prime guy who can't shoot or play defense. Russ is a perfect fit. Meanwhile, here's who they could have signed this year. I'm not saying every guy here is a perfect fit, and they would have to have traded some of their depth, but these are all better than Russ. So now they have 21 regular season games to see if this works. And even if it does, what about the playoffs? I mean, that's what it's all about for the Clippers, and in the postseason, Russ gets worse as the spotlight gets bigger. This is how he plays since Kevin Durant left for Golden State. In the regular season, puts up big numbers offensively, and he puts up numbers in the playoffs too. But what I'm highlighting here is the 4th quarter in the playoffs. In the biggest games, he melts down. Remember how bad playoff P was in the bubble? That's basically what the Clippers are bringing back onto their team. And this is a really basic average number here, but if we went through game to game, you would see horrible late turnovers, a million missed shots. Since KD left OKC, Russ has played with James Harden and Bradley Beal and Paul George, and only won a single playoff series. That's not what you want on your team. It's the reason that Luka isn't James Harden 2.0. Luka gets better in the playoffs and Harden gets worse. The best guys improve in the biggest games. Russ does the opposite. However, there is that one reason why this doesn't ruin the Clippers this year. They are not making the same mistake that the Lakers made or the Rockets before them. When LeBron traded for Russ, he sent out Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They let Alex Caruso walk. That made it LeBron, AD, and Russ surrounded by minimum contracts. Russ's contract took up so much money they couldn't afford any depth. It gutted their team and set Russ up to fail. But on the Clippers, they are signing Russ to a minimum. That is a much more realistic role. Now, if he's not working, they can just cut Russ and it won't matter. They didn't have to gut their roster to get him, so whatever. But reports say that Russ is going to start at some point. And I get that. They probably had to promise him that role to get him to sign. But there's no guarantee he will close games. Starting is actually totally overrated in the NBA. The only thing that actually matters is who's on the floor at the end. Now, I could be wrong about this. Russ could come in, play a role, set up the rest of the team, be surrounded by shooting, have a positive impact in the playoffs. But I think the way this ends is Russ getting benched down the stretch in big games and reminding the whole world he is a non-factor in the playoffs. That's embarrassing. What Russ should have done is sign with the Wizards. The teams interested in him were the Clippers, the Heat, the Bulls, and the Wizards. He would have stepped back on the court in DC, had chemistry with Bradley Beal, have a big like Kristaps Porzingis who can stretch the floor, play big minutes, and be really good in the regular season like he can be, and maybe drag them to the play-in. Then Russ could have earned another decent contract. But the Clippers? That's a huge gamble. It's championship or bust for them, so the stakes are really high. Russ thrives on like those scrappy teams with low expectations. The Clippers can't afford to let Russ sabotage them on the court, so as soon as he looks shaky, Ty Lue is going to bench him, and it will look horrible on national TV. If they win the title, it will be in spite of Russ, not because of him. Lately, the Clippers have been awesome. Since January 19th, when they're getting healthy, they have the #1 offense in the league. Kawhi has 8 30-point games since the new year. He has that bounce back, looks like his finals MVP self again with great defense. As a team, their defense all year has been top 10, and the #1 thing that a team needs to be a champion is a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. Only one team has won it all without being great on both ends. So the Clippers are a contender if healthy. But it's been a really tough year, I get that. Kawhi, PG have missed games. That is tough, especially on Ty Lue. But that was the plan all along. Take shots from the media about load management, but the priority is being healthy come playoff time. Then the KD trade went down and the Clippers panicked, bringing in Russ. The saving grace, they gave nothing up to get him, and they can let him go as soon as they realize this was a mistake. But circle on your calendar April 5th. That is when the Lakers play the Clippers, and you know Russ will be out for revenge in that game. But outside of that, this is horrible. The Clippers just voluntarily made themselves worse. I want Russ to succeed. This is not an attack on Russ personally or his character. You know, like ESPN calling him a vampire. This is just about basketball. I would love to be making a I was wrong video 4 months from now after the playoffs, but at least Russ didn't sign with the Grizzlies because they become the most hated team in the NBA. I made a whole video about how they straight earned that reputation. Check it out.